Good evening, Titan Nation. How's everybody doing? Welcome to a new edition of Titans and Truth. I'm your man Chris, aka Blue Enforcer, and I have come out of exile for a little while since we just had the NFL Combine last week, and I'm gonna give you my thoughts on that, and of course. We got free agency coming up next week, and so a lot of shuffling and moving around is going to be happening. And of course, we are on the road to the NFL draft in the Big D down in Dallas, Texas. So we are definitely on the roll. I'm definitely going to have a few things coming up. Maybe not as rapidly, but we definitely going to have a few things coming as far as looking at positions of need, looking at specific players. Also, we got free agency coming up. And I'm going to give you some thoughts on positions that I think we'll go after, and maybe a few players that I would like to see the Titans at least take a shot at as far as in free agency. But before we get to anything on the Combine, we did have some breaking news earlier today as the Tennessee Titans have indeed released veteran running back DeMarco Murray. Now, for a lot of you, and myself included, we kind of felt this was coming. We just didn't know when it was going to happen. Well, today was the day that it did happen. So it looks like Derrick Henry is going to take over as the starting running back full time, and it looks like the Titans are going to be looking for a change of pace, maybe third down running back to come in who can catch passes out of the backfield and maybe help on passing downs a little bit with Derrick Henry. And so, like I said, I expected this move to happen. I'm not really shocked that it happened. I do hate to see DeMarco Murray go because, I mean, he is definitely a player that I am a fan of. So I kind of hated to see him go. Now, sorry about that brief pause, but as some of you could see, I had to make a little wardrobe change and everything. Had to, since we're talking about DeMarco Murray, had to kind of give, my homage, my proper send-off to number 29, DeMarco Murray. Look, again, we expected this to happen. We figured it would happen. They saved $6.5 million in salary cap, so nothing counts against the cap for him. He doesn't have a cap hit, and so now that money goes back in, and we'll have somewhere close to $55 million in cap space as of right now, unless they make some other moves too and make it go a little bit higher. But yeah, I hated to see DeMarco Murray go, but I understand the reasoning behind it. I think John Robinson wants to get a little bit younger at the position, wants to get somebody who could be a little bit more durable out of the backfield to catch passes and also help in the pass blocking area and to be a little bit more effective in the passing game, and maybe somebody that could be a little bit more speedy in the run game between the tackles as well. So again, I understand the reasoning for letting DeMarco Murray go, but it's going to take me a moment to get away from it, but I'll probably say by tomorrow I'll be right back on it. So DeMarco Murray, I give my respects to you. Thank you for your 2 years of being a Tennessee Titan. It was great to see you run. You got us AFC, Offensive Player of the Year. No, he didn't win Offensive Player of the Year. He won the rushing title for the AFC, leading in rushing and everything. So, I know he was getting hurt a lot last year and really was trying to play through injury, tough it out and everything. But I think they're also ready to give the keys over to Derrick Henry. So it's now Derrick Henry's backfield now. Derrick Henry better earn it. So, again, hate to see him go, but I understand it is a business and we have got to move on. But thank you, DeMarco, for everything you've done for the city of Nashville. Thank you for everything you've done for this Titan organization. And I wish you nothing but the best going forward. And even though it's only been 2 years, I hope to see you being put in the Ring of Honor at Nissan Stadium. So, hate to see you go, DeMarco. But DeMarco Murray no longer a member of the Tennessee Titans. He has been released today. And so, I want to open up with that breaking news since that was something that happened not too long ago, earlier today. But let's get into the combine and my thoughts about that. You know, with the combine that happened last week, and I'm gonna let y'all know, I'm mainly gonna be looking at, I'm gonna be talking about players at positions of need for the Titans who may be available at 25 and beyond. Now, again, I'm not going to be going into no quarterback talk or no huge wide receiver talk, because any of those guys that are at the top of the board, number one, we're not going to be looking at anyway, and things like that. So I'm not really going to be looking at quarterbacks. I'm not really going to be looking at wide receivers or anything like that, even though a DJ Chalk from LSU was pretty impressive, probably made his way into the first round. I don't expect the Titans to pick a wide receiver. They may pick one maybe in the 5th round or later, although I do like that kid, Equanimous St. Brown from Notre Dame, better known as EQ. He could be somebody that we could pick up maybe in the 5th or 6th round, who could be a pretty nice receiver for the Titans. But and I may touch a little bit on the defensive backs. I'm probably not going to touch a lot on them because I didn't get to watch a lot of them. I watched a little bit, but I know that is probably something that will be handled in free agency, and maybe something that will also be addressed later in the draft as well. But we're definitely going to talk about edge rushers, defensive line, inside linebackers, and guards on the offensive line as well. And like I said, we'll talk a little bit of the defensive backs, maybe a little bit of safety as well. But the best performance of the day at the combine, everybody's been just gushing, oohing, and ahhing over this guy, and that is Saquon Barkley, the running back from Penn State. I mean, he showed out at the combine and showed that he could very well be the number 1 player in this draft. He's going to be a guy that goes very, very, very high. Maybe even go number 1 to the Cleveland Browns. And reports were coming out from the combine, from Ian Rappaport, among others, that the Browns were very impressed by Saquon Barkley. They really like him, and they're very much considering him at number 1. Let me just tell you, I hope that's what happens. I would rather deal with him on the Browns than for him to end up maybe with the Colts, and we got to deal with him twice a year. I don't want that. So, Cleveland, if you're smart, pick Saquon Barkley number 1. Pick him number 1. And the Colts ain't going to be able to pick him. So that's what I would hope they do. But he was very, very, very impressive. Did 29 reps on the bench at 225 pounds. Ran a 4.440. Had a 41-inch vertical jump. Vertical leap, which is extremely impressive, and I just liked his overall workout. He looks like a guy that could do it all, and unfortunately I hate that he will be nowhere near where the Titans will be, and I know we got Derrick Henry, so a very impressive workout nevertheless. And another guy that I have to admit that I was even impressed with was Shaquem Griffin, the linebacker from Central Florida. Let me tell you about this cat. Now, a lot of you have probably already heard the story. You know, Shaquem Griffin had a rare disease as a young boy, and at the age of 4 had his left hand amputated. So he lived his whole life, played football his whole life without a left hand, and still was able to compete at the combine and did very well. He ran a blazing fast 4.3840, and I think he did another one where it was 4.58, but I know they take the fastest time, and that 4.3840, he looked really crisp doing that. But one of the more impressive things that happened was that even with one arm, and he had a prosthetic arm attached to the bar for him, he ended up doing 20 reps on the bench. And this is a kid that doesn't have a left arm or some of his left hand, and still was able to do this. I mean, it was impressive. If you go back and watch the video on NFL Network, you could hear the scouts and everybody in the crowd cheering this kid on. And so, you know, it looked like he might not get drafted. It looks like he will get drafted. And he didn't even get invited to the combine until after the Senior Bowl, which, I mean, he probably should have been invited to the combine anyway, because he was definitely one of the most impressive players in the country. I mean, I got to witness it personally, seeing Central Florida take on Memphis, especially in that American Athletic Conference. I believe it was a double overtime thriller for the American Athletic Conference Championship and the bid in the Sugar Bowl, which Central Florida did win. But I mean, extremely impressive by Shaquem Griffin. On the other side, somebody that I would go for the old times, a dunce of the day, was Orlando Brown, the tackle from Oklahoma. I mean, according to a lot of scouts, according to Mike Mayock, and among others on the NFL Network, if you go back and look at the video, he had a horrific combine experience. I mean, he did not test well at all. I mean, this kid ran a 5.8 5.40. That is one of the slowest times. And, you know, Rich Eisen, who is one of the broadcasters on the NFL Network. Of course, he always does the 40-yard dash in benefits for St. Jude, trying to raise money for St. Jude. He ran a 5.9. He ran a 5.97, if I'm not mistaken. He's just trying to get under 6. Orlando Brown ran a 5.85, which is horrible. He looked very very tight, not crisp, unfocused, looked slow in the on-field drills. Just was not impressive at all. And I mean, he probably is better on the field, you know, in game time than it is when you're in the underwear Olympics, as this is. But a very uneventful afternoon for Mr. Orlando Brown on Friday. So, you know, he was looking like he might be a surefire top 15 pick. Now it may look like he may not even get drafted in the first round altogether. And honestly enough, I will actually have to say this. I think he might have dropped out of the second round too. Because, I mean, again, if you go back and look at the film, his running style just looked really bad. And, you know, when he was doing one of the offensive line drills, he looked like he was standing straight up. You know, normally when, as an offensive lineman, if you're coming to block somebody, you got to block low. You got to block low and drive. You know, it looked like he was blocking up and driving. And, you know, defensive linemen can easily beat you that way. So I hope Orlando Brown turns it around at his pro day, but not a very good start for Mr. Brown on that. And so now what I'm going to be doing, now let's go through some positions that the Titans are looking at, that I think they'll be looking at in the draft, and some players that I think will be available at 25 for the Titans to pick, and, you know, give a few things about each of the a few of the players here. Now, again, you know, like with the running back position, I'm not going to be mentioning Saquon Barkley because he's going to probably be going at worst in the top 5. He's not going to be nowhere near available for the Tennessee Titans to draft. So that's why I'm not really going to mention him. So in the running backs class, first guy I was very impressed with, of course, was Darius Geis from LSU. Very impressive. Did 15 reps on the bench. Had a 4.49 40, very quick. He had some very good times at LSU, very quick out of the backfield, can catch the passes, can run some routes, also can run in between the tackles, very tough. And he's also very, very confident, as he did an interview with, I believe it was not Tracy Wolf, I forgot her first name. I know they called it the Wolf's Den, where she interviewed him, and he basically said, for for any team that doesn't pick him, he's going to give them hell. So, you don't want to be on the other side with Darius Geis coming at you running the ball. He seems like he's going to be extra motivated by any team that doesn't pick him. But some very good numbers that came from Darius Geis. Another guy, some of the guys thought he had an okay day. I still think he'll be pretty good. It's Sony Michel, who had 22 reps on the bench, 4.5 for 40. So he was pretty good, very solid workout for him. I think he'll still be most likely an late first, early to mid second round pick. Darius Geis, I think, will probably be at the end of the first round. Again, I don't, and I will say this, y'all. I do not expect the Tennessee Titans to draft a running back in the first round. Maybe second or third round at best is what I would expect. But as far as first round, like what Mel Kiper was talking about, get out of here. They are not drafting a running back in the first round. So anybody that got those ideas, get it out your head. Another guy, Nick Chubb, was very impressive. He ran faster than Sony Michel at 4.25. 4.5 240. He had 29 reps on the bench, so he's very strong. Had a 38.5-inch vertical leap, and so he definitely has some hops. And Nick Chubb looked better in the passing drills than I expected him to look. And this is a guy, yes, he does have some knee problems. Came back from a big-time knee injury. I believe it was a torn ACL in his junior year, and then he came back and had a very productive senior year. Leading Georgia into the game against Oklahoma. I believe it was the playoff, and of course they ended up in the playoff and ended up in the championship game, if I'm not mistaken, against Alabama, which of course we know what happened. Alabama won. But very impressed by Nick Chubb. Rashad Penny is another guy that I have liked. And again, I'm going to go back and look at some film on some of these guys. I'm mainly talking about combine workouts and maybe a little bit of film that I've watched. Rashad Penny ran a 4.46 40 with a 32.5-inch vertical jump and also 13 reps on the bench. Rashad Penny from San Diego State. Definitely have heard a few things about him. A very good all-purpose back. I believe he had record for most all-purpose yards or something like that in the season. I have to go back and check that out. I'll have some more information on that when I break down the position in a future episode going into the draft. So I will definitely do that. Now, one other guy that was very, very impressive was Nyheim Hines out of North Carolina State, who a lot of people could see the Titans picking up in around the third or the fourth round. One of the fastest times of the day, 4.38 40, 35.5-inch vertical jump, and he's the speedy back. He is exactly the type of back that the Titans are looking for. I mean, very fast, very crisp. He rolls up some draft boards, and he could definitely be there for the Titans, I would say, in the third or fourth round. Some other notes I said, Royce Freeman from Oregon, 4.5 40, 34-inch vertical jump. Kalen Ballage from Arizona State, 4.46 40, 33.5-inch vertical jump. Very good on that. Some guys that I were not impressed with, some guys who maybe lost some stock. Ronald Jones II, RJ2, ran a 4.65 40, but ended up pulling his hamstring on the 40-yard dash, so he wasn't able to compete in the rest of the on-field workouts and everything. So that was very disappointing for him. A guy that some people maybe thought could go at the tail end of the first round. Might have just kicked himself to the second round, maybe late second round there. Maybe he might be available for the Titans. And John Kelly did some of the on-field workouts and looked pretty decent, but he did not run a 40. It looks like he's going to be doing that at his pro day, and so that's something that I wrote down that we'll have to look at tape. We'll look at the tape, but he's a very, very good change of pace back. And for a lot of you who maybe are in the Nashville area or in the mid-state area, you've heard a lot about John Kelly with the Tennessee Volunteers. So You know, those are just some of my impressions from the running backs. Now let's move on to the offensive line, and in particular, I want to look at the guard position. So I'm not going to really be talking about a bunch of tackles because we got our bookend tackles. I'm going to be looking strictly at guys that play guard. And the first guy that comes to my mind that was blowing the combine out was one Will Hernandez. 37 bench reps, a 5.1540. Very, very nice time for an offensive lineman. And he, you know, looked very, very fluid, very, very crisp in his movements. And people were smitten kittens about this guy. You know, Mike Mayock and Bucky Brooks and all of them, they think this kid has just guaranteed himself to be a first-round pick. There's no way he's getting to the second round out of UTEP. A very, very good workout. Isaiah Wynn, I didn't see a lot of him. I think he tried to do some of the on-the-field workouts. Right now, it looks like he's still a first-rounder out of Georgia. We'll see what's going on with his pro day. James Daniels looked very good in the on-the-field workouts. 21 reps on the bench, did not run a 40. We, of course, have seen him mock to the Titans quite a few times. I believe Daniel Jeremiah's second mock draft has the Titans taking James Daniels. He's a center and guard out of Iowa, so I mean he could definitely plug in and play guard right away, and he could also back up Ben Jones if they need a center. Quentin Nelson did 35 reps on the bench. Had an okay workout on the field. He didn't really have to do much. Right now, he looks like he's going to the top 15. I'd be very shocked if he's down at 25, but I just had to mention him. I thought he was very, very good. And even though this guy's a tackle, I was very impressed with this kid out of West Georgia. His name is Desmond Harrison. Definitely look him up. He was very impressive. He had a 4.940, which was very fast for offensive linemen. And, you know, he looked pretty good in the drills. So I think he rose his stock up a bit as well. You know, was able to look like he could be pretty good in pass protection, and you know, was definitely slender a bit. So I think pass protection is his best bet. Again, you got to look up some film on him out of West Georgia. There may not be a lot available, but he was definitely a dark horse, in my opinion. Maybe somebody that could kick into guard while learning the tackle position for me. So that was what I thought about with the offensive lineman. And now my next position I would say of need is we're going to go to the defensive side of the ball. And, you know, I know a lot of people are talking about edge rushers, which we would definitely get to. But I also want to talk about the defensive line because I really think we could use either a nose tackle or another defensive end who could play the 3-4. We don't know if Daquan Jones, if they're going to re-sign him. I know they've expressed interest in bringing him back, but I don't know if they're going to do that because there's a couple of very, very good free agents out there that could be available as well, which I'll get to that a little bit later. But on the defensive line, as far as, you know, defensive ends or defensive tackles or anything, now I'm probably not going to mention a lot about Bradley Chubb or Marcus Davenport, especially Bradley Chubb, because he's probably going top 4. He's not going to be anywhere close to where the Titans are picking. But he did have a very good combine and proved he could very well be the #1 edge rusher in this draft. But some guys I was very impressed with here. Deron Payne, 4.9540. I believe he did some 27 reps on the bench. He had a 28.5 vertical jump. So, I mean, I think Deron Payne can either play 3-4 defensive end or nose tackle. And he was very, very disruptive at Alabama. And if he's there at 25, I would very much be considering taking him because he can either line up beside Jarrell Casey on the other side of the 3-4 or at nose tackle. It could cause some big time problems. Very good at rushing the passer, but also very good at helping in the run game. Vita Vea had a couple of impressive numbers, although he got hurt on the 40. I think he tweaked a hamstring or something like that. It did not complete on the field drills, but he did run a 5.140 and also had 41 reps on the bench. Very strong. Very, very quick and agile for his size. Although I have heard, I have seen some mock drafts where some have said he's pretty inconsistent. He's just a decent run stuffer. He has problems shedding blocks and gets lost in the wash. When trying to, get the linebackers to make plays and things like that. As a nose tackle, you're supposed to be a space eater. You're supposed to make it easy for the linebackers to make plays. But some pretty decent numbers. Deshaun Hand was very impressive. Defensive end out of Alabama, and also yesterday, I believe the Titans had a big contingent on hand at Alabama's Pro Day yesterday, and Deshaun Hand was somebody that Mike Vrabel was talking to, and of course Mike Vrabel ran some of the drills down there in Alabama as well. He had a 4.83 40, 28 reps on the bench, 31.5-inch vertical jump. He rose his stock a bit. I think a lot of people had him shedded for the 3rd round in some mock drafts. He's probably played himself at least into the 2nd round, so he might be a guy to tighten look at in round 2 if we go anywhere else other than maybe a defensive end in the 1st round. Also, I got some numbers on Harrison Phillips, the defensive tackle from Stanford. He could probably play in the middle or in the 3-4 defensive end, 5'2", 140. 42 reps on the bench, very strong. 32-inch vertical jump. Very intelligent coming out of Stanford. So he could play a couple of multiple positions, and he might be a guy to definitely keep your eye on. And last but not least, Taven Bryan from Florida. 4.98 40, 30 reps on the bench, 35-inch vertical, and he's risen up some boards too. He may be a guy that goes in the top 20 of the draft. I'm going to go back and look at some more film of him. I want to see where he probably fits if we were to look at him in this defense. So very impressive. A couple of dark horses would be a guy by the name of John Franklin Myers of Stephen F. Austin. You probably haven't heard of this guy, but if you watched some of the combine and saw him, he had a 4.75 40. I believe that was the fastest among defensive linemen. And he had 26 reps on the bench, 33-inch vertical jump. Now, he didn't blow anybody out of the water or anything, but I will say he had an extremely solid combine. And, even though they graded him as being like a backup, or a special teams player, he probably opened up a few eyes, and there will be some people definitely at a Stephen F. Austin Pro Day trying to check him out and see, maybe he's a guy that could be developed into a starting caliber player. Another player I thought I liked was a Rasheem Green from USC. 4.73 40, he had a 32.5-inch vertical jump, did not do bench work. But, coming from USC, USC has some very good defensive players. And so, he's the guy along with John Franklin Myers that could be a dark horse in this draft. Maybe, somebody that could get drafted maybe in the 3rd, 4th, or 5th round who might be able to come in and give you some production. And so that's what I was looking at with the defensive line. So that was a very, very good group. The defense as a whole, defensive players as a whole were very impressive at the combine. So I like how deep the defensive line part of the draft is going to be also. And so now we're going to go into the edge or outside linebacker portion. And at this point, again, I'm not going to really mention Brad Chubb because he's going to probably go in the top 3. Now, I did put Marcus Davenport in this category because I think he has the potential to be a pretty decent outside linebacker or edge rusher. Now, he does have some work to do because he is still a bit raw and would need to be developed. But, of course, he ran a 4.58 40, very quick, 22 reps. On the bench, 33.5-inch vertical jump, and he had some pretty decent workouts on the field as well. Still has a little bit of work and a little bit of polishing to do. I went back and looked at a little bit of film on him, and what I did see was he's got to be able to shed blocks. He's got to be able to get off of blocks and go to make the play. You know, it's easy to get to a quarterback or running back when nobody's blocking you and you're coming full steam ahead. It's very different to do that when you got an offensive lineman trying to keep you from getting to those players in the backfield. So that's something he better work on. Harold Landry, an absolute stud. I hope he's there at 25. A lot of mock drafts. If you take a look from Titans Online or any other Titan group or site that takes you to, you know, the multiple mock drafts, Harold Landry is probably one of the most popular picks for the Tennessee Titans, and I see why. 4'6", 440, 24 reps on the bench, 36-inch vertical jump, had a very, very good workout. I mean, looked fluid, flipping his hips. He did some of the hybrid workouts, very quick coming off the ball with the swim or the bolt or the rip move, and that's going to be very important. You know, he has a very good bend as a way to get around offensive tackles to get some sacks on the quarterback. And of course, you remember he had 16.5 sacks back in 2016, and this was a injury-riddled 2017 for him, but it was nice to have him have a good showing at the combine. Sam Hubbard, I thought went down a little bit from Ohio State, didn't do a 40 or a bench, had some very good workouts on the field, but I know he's a guy that Mike Vrabel and John Robinson are going to look at. Vrabel helped recruit Sam Hubbard along with defensive backs coach Kerry Coombs, who used to work at Ohio State. So, I mean, Sam Hubbard, I think, treaded down a little bit, but coming from that Ohio State tree of very good defensive linemen, he could still be a steal. And now, also, Arden Key was the guy. Didn't really see him run a 40 or do bench or anything like that, but he did do some pretty good work on the field, and rumor we're having it coming out of the combine from either Albert Breer or Ian Rappaport. With Arden Key, he did very well in the interviews. He just kept it honest and real with coaches that were talking to him, and so a lot of coaches were coming out saying that they came away very impressed in the interviews with Arden Key. But also the last one that I have top 5, Lorenzo Carter from Georgia, who's an outside linebacker. He is skyrocketing up boards now. He may very well sneak into the first round of the draft. He had a 4.5 40, 36-inch vertical jump, and was awesome in the drills, in my opinion. I thought he was one of the winners of the draft, of the combine, and so you're going to have a lot of teams at the bottom of the first round, including us, maybe thinking maybe we should bring him up to the first round so that we could take him. And a couple of dark horses that I also saw, Josh Sweat from Florida State, the defensive end, a 4.53 40. He had some very good work on the field, and I definitely liked when he was attacking backs, he was attacking them low, and that's what you have to do to shed off blocks to make plays. Kylie Fitz, a linebacker, outside linebacker from Utah, was very impressive as well. Now, Hercules Mataafa didn't have a particularly great day, even though he had a 4.76 40, which should be a little bit faster for an edge rusher, but 26 reps on the bench, 31.5-inch vertical jump. You know, really with Washington State, they didn't know where to put him. You know, they put him sometimes along the defensive line, sometimes on the outside, on the edge, and things like that. I think if he comes in here, he'll be a solid 3-4 outside linebacker for the Titans. And, of course, how could you not like the name of Hercules? I mean, I could see that being a trend. And so those are a couple, about 3 dark horse players that I think will be available in later rounds. I think definitely at the end of day 2 going into day 3. And the last position I had that I was looking at as far as the combine is inside linebacker. As many of you know, of course, Avery Williamson is set to hit free agency next week, and I don't think they're going to bring him back. I think they're going to go better, even though he's very good in the run game, very suspect in the pass game, and I think that's where we're going. We're going to be trying to get some people to help in the passing game and, to help this defense out when they're trying to get pressure. So that way it makes the job easier for everybody on the back end to either knock balls away from tight ends or running backs, or to maybe get some interceptions. And so that's going to be very, very important that they do find the right pieces in this draft, especially at edge backer and defensive line. But inside linebackers, one guy that I thought was so fluid and solid that I would want on this team tonight, Rashaan Evans of Alabama. I honestly think he's one of the best linebackers, if not the best middle linebacker in this draft, in my opinion. I mean, he had some very, very good workouts, very fluid in turning his hips, and has a knack for finding the football. They had him lined up inside and outside as well. And of course, had 2 big sacks in the championship game as well. So I like Rashaan Evans a lot, definitely. Tremaine Edmonds from Virginia Tech, I think he skyrocketed himself possibly into the top 15, top 10 range. 4.5, 440, and did a very good job on the drills. He was somebody that a lot of people around NFL Network were raving about as far as having a good workout. Leighton Vander Esch, 4.65 40, 20 reps on the bench, 39.5-inch vertical jump. He's another guy that was smitten kittens from the media, and is a guy that the Titans could very well take at 25 along with Rashaan Evans. I think Tremaine Edmonds will be long gone before our pickers come, but I think definitely Vander Esch and Rashaan Evans will definitely be available. And then a couple of dark horses I have for this group, Jannard Avery from my alma mater of Memphis, 4.59 40, 26 reps, 36-inch vertical jump, and this kid was an absolute beast at the University of Memphis. One of the best defensive players on the field, and he is a guy that could definitely garner some considerations on day 3. Oren Burks from Vanderbilt. Of course, we're going local with that, 4.59 40 as well. And I came away very impressed with this guy coming out. And, he played 3 different positions. He played some outside linebacker, some inside linebacker, and he also played safety as well. And a lot of people say you can build a good defense through the middle with your nose tackle, your middle linebacker, and one of your safeties. And so if Oren Burks wants to play safety for the Titans, I would love to see that happen, and I think that could happen. So that was some very good numbers there. And of course, as I mentioned, Shaquem Griffin, talked about him earlier, actually having a good combine, a good workout. Don't need to say more there. But those are some of the things that I had as far as what I thought from the combine. I thought that the linebacking group was probably the best group of all the groups at the draft. I really do. I think Rashaan Evans and Tremaine Edmonds, Roquan Smith is another one. He'll be, like I said, that's why I didn't mention Edmonds or Roquan Smith. They're going to be long gone by the time we pick. And so now, for the second half of the show, right quick, I just want to go through a little bit of free agency news, a free agency preview, to basically say a few positions that I think we'll look at in free agency, as well as some players that I would love to see possibly get picked up by the Tennessee Titans. Some of the positions that I'm thinking that we would definitely need in free agency: backup quarterback is definitely one. I don't know if they want to really put some faith in a college rookie coming into the draft and possibly having to start some games if markets go down. I believe John Robinson said it best that no, it was Mike Vrabel that said it, that, you know, if we're looking for a backup quarterback, we want a backup quarterback that we know can come in and win some games for us. And so this leads me to my list of players for that. And before I get to that, of course, other positions I talked about: running back, guard, defensive line, and corner as well. That's some positions of need for free agency. But as far as backup quarterback, some guys that I would take a look at would be Teddy Bridgewater, if he's fully healed from his injury. Mike Glennon, who formerly of the Chicago Bears, and also Chase Daniel, who has been basically riding the bench behind Drew Brees for forever. And I think now he could go to another team where he may have a chance to play some and actually have a chance to make an impact. At the running back position, I think Jerick McKinnon is a very popular choice. You know, he's a very good change of pace back, exactly what we're looking for. Alfred Blue is another one. Dion Lewis of the New England Patriots. I think he's a guy John Robinson will definitely look at. And I put this name out before. This is before I saw that he and remembered that he had a spinal cord injury back in August of last year. And of course, the Jacksonville Jaguars cut him, and that is Itavius Mathers, formerly of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and also former MTSU running back who went to Blackman about 20 minutes down the street in Murfreesboro. And it just depends on if he's healed from that spinal cord injury to come back. He's probably got to miss a year. I put him out there as a dark horse, but I don't know how much he's healed from the injury. It may not be ready for him to come back onto the field and play football if he ever does play football again. At guard, I put down Josh Seaton, formerly of the Bears, Justin Pugh, formerly of the Giants, and I put Andrew Norwell on this list, even though he's probably the number one free agent guard coming out, and he's going to be worth a lot of money. And Titan fans, if you remember history, we went out and signed the top guard some years ago before Ken Whisenhunt showed up. That didn't pan out too well with Andy Levitre. So I don't know if we'll have enough money to throw at him, but I think Josh Seaton or Justin Pugh would be a pretty good option at guard. And I think they're going to keep Quentin Spain. They're trying to talk to Josh Klein and see about re-signing him, but from Cameron Wolf of ESPN, he says that the two sides are still far apart on a deal. I think Josh Klein is gone, in my opinion. On the defensive side of the ball, I'm looking at defensive tackle or nose tackle. I got Dontari Poe. I think we should bring him back home. He's a Memphis native, and so he would only be 3 hours from home. I think it'd be good. And a couple of ex-Jets that I know have been a bit of a malcontent, but I guarantee you if the Titans pick one of these guys up, they will not regret it if he gets along with everybody in the locker room. That's Muhammad Wilkerson and Sheldon Richardson. And if it was me, I would rather have Muhammad Wilkerson over Sheldon Richardson, in my honest opinion. And then there's cornerback. I truly think the logical choice and the choice I think John Robinson will go after is Malcolm Butler, who is formerly of the Patriots. I think John Robinson is going to go hard after him and try to draft this guy and try to get this guy in free agency. So I could see Malcolm Butler definitely being a Titan. Kyle Fuller is another one. Now he is on the Bears tagged him, but they only did a transition tag. They didn't do the franchise tag on him. And basically what that means is that Kyle Fuller can go and talk to other teams. Another team can make for example, and I'm sorry I stopped my own sentence. Let's just say he could come visit the Titans. He can come to Tennessee, visit the Titans, and the Titans make him an offer, and he says, you know what? I'm ready to sign here. The Bears would have they have the right to the first refusal. They get 7 days to see if they're going to match the deal. If they do match the deal, then whatever deal the Titans put out to Kyle Fuller, the Bears have to pay him that amount of money. Now, if he signs with the Titans and the Bears decline or says, we're not going to match that, y'all can have him. No compensation has to be given from the Tennessee Titans to the Chicago Bears. No compensation. You know, with the franchise tag, if that situation happens, another team signs them, and the team that tagged the player decided to go against the tag and decide not to match, rather, then that means that the team that tagged the player gets 2 first-round picks. That's why a lot of people hate the franchise tag. And so, that's what happened, but luckily he's on the transition tag. And then Tremaine Johnson is another guy I'm talking about, the cornerback from the Los Angeles Rams. And the Rams, of course, have made a lot of moves in the last month. 2 trades today. They've already made 4 trades. They traded for Marcus Peters from Kansas City, and then just about 2 hours ago, the Rams just got Aqib Talib for a 5th-round pick from the Broncos. So the Rams are putting together that secondary. They're going for a Super Bowl. Like, they're not just trying to get in the playoffs. They're trying to win a Super Bowl. And even though they got rid of Alec Ogletree to the Giants earlier today and Robert Quinn to the Dolphins about 2 or 3 days ago, the Rams are still going to be strong, especially on the back end of that defense. You got Marcus Peters on one side, Aqib Talib on the other side. Not going to be easy for teams to throw on them. Now, I also threw in a couple of names at wide receiver, even though I didn't really put it as a need. Just a couple of guys I would rather like to see them go after. Now, Sammy Watkins, I think, is a little bit injury prone. He didn't have a lot of production, even though he was in Matt LaFleur's system in LA. But I think his injury history. Also, he has some history with the wide receiver coach Rob Moore when he was a rookie in Buffalo. So I don't know if that'll work out or anything like that. So that's going to be very interesting. But a couple of the guys I really look at is Allen Robinson and Jordan Matthews. And I want y'all to comment on the show as well. Who would you rather go with, Allen Robinson or Jordan Matthews, if you had to choose? And while I'm speaking of when this is on the video, when you go back and watch, share this out to everybody, y'all. When it's put onto any pages on Facebook or Instagram, share this out to everybody. Leave me comments on the YouTube page or on any of my Facebook pages, any of the groups that I put this recording to. Definitely comment. Talk to me. That's the only way this thing keeps growing. So I really think, everybody can get involved with that. So, yeah, I want some answers on that. I'll be checking tomorrow. And of course, I'll be responding either by Facebook Live or I'll just type in my responses. Allen Robinson or Jordan Matthews. And then last but not least, of course, I'm looking at inside linebacker. Nigel Bradham of Philadelphia could be on his way out. Connie Ealy, who was a absolute monster in the Super Bowl for the Carolina Panthers when they lost to the Denver Broncos. And then another name I put out, a couple of names, Jeremiah Atachu from the Chargers. Very, very solid player. Very good indeed. He's only 25 years old. Very young. Preston Brown of Buffalo and DeMario Davis of the Jets, who I have been hearing some people saying that he could be a possible pickup as well for the Tennessee Titans to show up that inside linebacker spot. Because, again, Avery Williamson's going to free agency. Wesley Woodyard is turning 32. And Jayon Brown is not a 3-down linebacker just yet. So we need a 3-down middle linebacker for this defense to really thrive. And what I forgot to mention also with the corners at the combine, Denzel Ward, very fast, 4.3 40. He's a playmaker. He's definitely a playmaker. Derwin James, the safety out of Florida State, playmaker, game changer. I could see him not even getting out of the top 15. So I want y'all to, I do want y'all to tell me what you think of my free agency picks, and did you like who I went with or did not like who I went with? What did you think about draft analysis? And what's going to be coming up is I am going to be doing some shows. I'm going to be doing one depicting just a specific position of need for the Tennessee Titans as we do lead up to the draft. I will probably put out some Titan-centric mock drafts, and then I'm going to try my best to do one first-round mock draft before the draft. Maybe a week before the draft I will do that, as far as doing a actual one first-round mock draft for all the teams. Now that's not guaranteed yet, but I think that's something I'm going to definitely try to do and take a stab at. But again, everybody, I thank y'all for watching Titans and Truth tonight. Please, again, share this show. Give me some comments on YouTube or even on any of my Facebook pages. I am also I'm slowly putting together a Titans and Truth Instagram. Okay, and so it's gonna be at Titans _in_truth on Instagram, and also check out the website as well, www.titansandtruth.wixsite.com/titansandtruth. I am gonna be putting some more material back onto the website and get that baby back up and going and get that updated some. So I'm definitely going to be doing some work on that as well. But I hope y'all liked the show and enjoyed everything. Again, let me know what you think, because I need your participation. We're going to have some fun things coming up. And Titans and Truth, I holla. See y'all for Free Agent Frenzy next week.